you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Folks, Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Gentlemen, there, ladies, things that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the oldest living podcast that still is in existence that gives you 1 to 2 news shows a day. No one else is doing that from the handful left except us. So please support the show. Give us all the love we need because we live for your love. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet.
Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind.
Today with an amazing young lady. We're going to be talking about her book and story, a memoir of her mother, actually, and we'll get into that here. It is entitled Helen Gordon, The Woman Behind the Greensheet by Rebecca Blakeley. And we're going to follow up with her and find out her amazing story and her homage of writing this book to her mother. Welcome to the show, Rebecca. How are you?
Great. Fantastic.
Thank you. And give us your .coms. Where can people find out more about you on the interwebs? Is there any .coms, social media, email, any place you want people to reach you?
No.
Okay. All right. Give us a 30,000. There'll be a link to the show on the Chris Voss Show for the book on Amazon. Give us a 30,000 overview of where the book and what it's about.
Oh, repeat the question.
Can you give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside the book, please?
30,000 overview?
Yeah, just like a general overview.
The book is about my mother. It took me a while to convince her to write this book with me.
Ah.
She was the biggest obstacle in getting it started. She didn't think anyone would be interested in her story.
Oh.
And she said, "Why would you want to write about me?" And I said, "People would be interested on what you've done in your life." She goes, "Why? I'm not extraordinary." And so it went back and forth like this for 30 minutes. And she goes, "Now who's going to read this book?" And I said, "Who knows, maybe millions." She goes, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that." And so I said, "How about family? How about the board members and family?" She goes, "I don't know." I said, "How about just family?" She goes, "Okay, we'll do the book."
So would you say she was very modest or shy or?
Oh, she was not modest nor shy. But she was humble.
Oh, okay.
She did not feel the need to go to the mountaintop and scream her accolades.
Some people, they're really good at doing stuff. Tell us who your mom was and what is this Greensheet for people that may not be aware of it?
My mother was a ball of fire. When she said she was going to do something, she did it, and she did it with flair. She was a pianist. She studied piano since the age of 5, and she was, at the time of her death, she was playing Chopin and doing all sorts of things with the piano, but she loved the piano, and she said her favorite part of playing the piano was that she could be the star of the party. Because back in the 30s and 40s, you'd get around and she would play the piano and everyone would be around her singing songs, and she would be the star of the party. And she loved that. But that's as far as she went as far as wanting to be a star. But the Greensheet, she worked in publishing in Pennsylvania, and there was a paper a weekly paper called the Greensheet, and she liked the name. And so when she moved to Texas, she called Milt Hammond, said, Milt, I'm going to start a paper and I'm going to name it the Greensheet. Do you mind? He goes, no, go for it, Helen. So she called it the Greensheet, and she was going to do it very different than Milt's paper. He had editorials and write-ups, and she didn't want it to detract from advertising. So she had hired a cartoonist, an artist, and she put on every other page a cartoon to make it funny, and a by Cracky column that people could write in their questions to Cracky.
Cracky. Now, who's Cracky? That's a wild name. Where did that name come from?
She made it up. And she said the artist, Renato Diaca, he would be by Cracky. So he would get letters in the mail, and he would answer their problems with a sense of humor.
Ah.
So, and then we had advertisements. So it's for sale, your furniture, your car, rent an apartment, and that's how it started. And from a 4-page to, once we get to 16 pages, we'll start making money.
Oh.
That took years to do.
And where did she start this at? What city was she in?
Houston. So
Houston, Texas.
First, she started with the Southwest Houston, and then she went to other areas like Northwest and Southwest, South and North. And Houston is a very large town.
Yeah.
So we had, I believe, 6 to 8 editions in Houston by the late 70s.
Oh, wow. And so that grew pretty well. Now, what's in this Greensheet for people that are not aware? What's the content that's in there that people will find?
Estate sales, anything from furniture to cell phones to cars, and then painters, hands, lawn people. When you needed something done to your house, you could pick up a Greensheet locally, and that person would be a local handyman.
Ah. I remember when I was a kid, I used to deliver this. It wasn't like a newspaper like you would, the main newspaper, and it'd have articles and stuff. But I would deliver something, I can't remember what it was. It was like had coupons in it and sales and features of vendors and phone number. It was kind of like a little, it wasn't like a phone book, like thick, but it was good. There was a lot of pages in there. And I deliver it, I think, 2 times a week. So it was just this periodical that you put on people's doors. And my job as an 11-year-old was to put the little rubber band on it and all that good stuff. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And those things really used to be popular because I think usually they gave them away free, didn't they? Did they give away the Greensheet free?
Yes, they did. And on the front, it would say, buy a newspaper to read a Greensheet to buy.
Ah.
And it would be free, really 32-point type, free. And people would think, you're giving the paper away free. How do you make any money? People will advertise in it, pay for their ads. The painters, the handyman, the roofers, and the car dealerships. So we were doing so well that the Houston Post wanted to buy us within 2 years of our being in business. She goes, no, I'm going to make a lot more money than that. Post go pound salt.
Now, did your mom run this pretty much all by herself and maybe some employees? She was the CEO. She was the visionary behind it and all that stuff?
Yes, she was. She started with a 1 room, and then it grew to 2 rooms for layout and etc. And it went to 3 rooms, 4 rooms, and then finally the whole building.
Wow. That's quite growth.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So she started this in 1970. But in 1970, a woman could not get a loan without a husband's co-signing. She said, we're not going to go that route. So she just didn't do the loan. And she said, I'm going to make my money. I don't need a bank. But then in 1978, she did need the banks because she wanted to buy a big computer.
Oh, yeah. Back then, you had to have a loan for computers. They were like $10,000 or something. It was crazy.
Oh, a lot more than that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So she went knocking on the bank's doors, and they said, I'm sorry, but you're a woman, and we don't think that we can put our eggs in your basket. And then she was talking to Mr. Johnson with Southwest Bank. I think it was Southwest Bank. And she's talking to him, and the computer truck drives up and starts making a delivery. He goes, Helen, what is that? She said, that's my computer. He goes, well, we haven't given you the loan yet. She goes, but I know you will. So they gave her the loan, and she was the first bank. It was the first bank that they invited a woman to their lunch. Their lunch. Only men were allowed in that lunchroom. So Mr. Johnson said, now, Helen, you realize you're the first woman in here that's ever been in here.
Wow.
And she felt very proud of that. And there's a little story in the book.
Yeah.
So she bought her used. No, the computer was not used. But we had a problem with the computer, but that's another long story.
Oh, okay. But it's in the book, so people can read it if they want?
Yes.
Yeah. And so give us, and so was she married at the time, or was she doing this all as a single mom?
She had gotten remarried in 1969, and moved to Houston with Bob DeYoung. And they settled in Houston, and for the first time in decades that she had a vacation, she said. But my sister and I did the laundry and the cooking of the house. And so when my mother started doing Bob's laundry, he had to tell her how to do it.
Oh, because you guys have been carrying the load there for a while, as it were.
Well, she was a single mom for many years, so I guess she forgot how to do laundry. I don't know. But she knew how to make a souffle for dinner.
Oh, well, I'll take that trade-off.
No, Bob did not like that.
Oh, he didn't like souffles?
No, he got tired of all this fancy dinners that she was making at night. He goes, I just want a nice steak and potato dinner.
I just want a nice dinner.
So then they started talking about, she said, I can't stay at home and do this. This is boring. And of course, she was never a woman to take care of the curtains when she was married to my father either. So that wasn't going to work. So Bob said, I've got $10,000 if you want me to help you start up a business. She goes, that will work. I can do with that. So that's how she started the Greensheet.
Oh, wow. Isn't that wonderful? And she had a lot of gumption. Where did she get that sort of gumption from? Where do you think was there something in her childhood or that kind of gave her that get up and go?
We're of Scottish descent. My grandmother's surname is Douglas, and my mother's maiden name is Gordon, so Gordon Douglas is very Scottish. They have a lot of get up and go and get things done type of stock of people. And my grandfather was a kind of a go-getter, and my grandmother was a nurse, and she was a very gentle woman, but she was able to stick by her guns and tell her father that, no, I'm going to become a nurse. Because in 1918, when my grandmother was 18, nursing was not looked highly upon for a female.
Really?
It was, you're going to be a nurse, you will see all sorts of things as a nurse. You will see naked bodies.
Blood. Guts and lions and tigers and bears. Oh, my.
Yes, a young, upstanding female would not want to see these things.
Really? Nurses are great. Women are great at nurses.
Yes, but this is 1918.
Yeah.
still Victorian thinking.
Yeah. Makes sense.
My great-grandfather, Moses Fulton.
Moses was your great-grandfather? The one that parted the sea? No, I'm just doing jokes.
Moses Fulton Douglas.
Oh.
He was appalled that his daughter would go into nursing.
Really?
Would not,
it seems so foreign.
Would not speak to her.
Wouldn't speak to her?
No.
Wow, what a crime going into nursing.
So
thunk it.
She didn't care. She went against, my grandmother went against him. She was 5 foot tall. And my Aunt Mary, my great Aunt Mary, she was like 5'8", 5'9". Since my grandmother Grace, she was going to go into nursing, so Aunt Mary says, I'll go too. So they both went and didn't speak to their father. And because they were going into nursing, of all things.
Yeah. It just seems so weird now, foreign to think about, because you're like, there's lots of women in nursing, and women are nurturing. Yes. If I want a nurse, I want a woman nurse, because they care for you. They kind of understand. Guys just come in and go, what's wrong with you? Like, yeah, get up, feel better, go away. That sort of thing. Take 2 pills, call me in the morning.
Men have come a long way.
That's true.
And so in 1970, it's the same thing, somewhat the same thing as 1918. Because you were a woman, you could not get a loan in the bank.
Yeah.
We could not get credit cards.
Oh, wow. That's true. Yeah, you couldn't get credit cards either.
No.
I remember when that changed. My mom it was restricted. My mom would always have to go into the bank and do stuff, but she would sign my dad's checks. It's not like she couldn't do stuff. She'd always go cash checks, but no, yeah, she couldn't have her credit cards.
We're not as fragile as everyone thinks we are.
So you lay out this memoir of your mom and her journey through this green, and the Greensheet becomes really popular in Texas. Is that correct?
Correct.
Tell us about how that builds out and the success she had there.
I started working in June of 1970, and she put me on the phones and in bookkeeping, and I had simple bookkeeping in high school. And I was studying nursing in college. She put me to work right away, and she gave me the list of the checks to write for the people. She didn't put my name on the list, and I thought, because I'm the boss's daughter, I don't get a check. So I was crying on the way home.
Really?
Yes, we were sharing a car, so we were doing rideshare. She goes, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "You did not have my name on the list of people to pay. Do I not get paid?" She goes, "Of course you can get paid. Put your name on a list and put that much on. Make it that much." So I was relieved.
Yeah. She was nicer than I was. I would have said, you know that food in the fridge? You know that house over your head? You already paid.
Well,
but that was grand of her.
It was.
Yeah. Because I would have been a jerk. That's why I don't have kids. Anyway, so it becomes really popular there in Texas, and it spreads to other cities, correct?
Correct. And so I worked there, and then I moved into sales, and then I also moved into the composing department.
Wow.
And so I was working in sales during the day, and on Monday nights we would put the paper together, and which is a phrase you use, and we put it to bed, send it to the printer.
Yeah.
She decided I'm working Monday through Sunday, or 6 days a week, and she said she wants to start another paper. And I'm like, where am I going to find the time?
Yeah. And how old were you when that happened?
I was 20.
Oh, wow. Beats working at McDonald's. I had to work at McDonald's when I was 18.
I was really getting paid by this time.
Oh, good.
So I was getting $900 a month.
Whoa. That was pulling some bucks back in those days. It was.
Yeah. I thought I was rich.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought, you're going to work me to death, Helen. But see, when we first started working together, I went in to her to ask a question. I said, "Mother," she stopped me in my tracks. She said, "Don't you ever call me that again in the office."
Really?
I am not your mother here. I am Helen. Helen at home, but never at the office.
Wow.
So there was very distinction between office and home.
That's kind of why you refer to her as Helen, because you just referred to her as
Yes.
Helen.
So one time I was in Dallas. I had a very close relationship with my mother. And I was in Dallas, and I really needed to talk to my mother. But I was talking to Helen at the moment. And we were talking about business. I said, "Helen, do you think my mother's available? I really need to talk to her for a moment." She goes, "Hold on, let me see if I can get her."
You guys had a complicated relationship a little bit there. I
Well,
don't
she
know.
just put me on hold for 2 seconds. She goes,
Oh, and she picked up.
"I'm here, Rebecca. What do you need? What would you like to talk about? Is there an emergency?"
It makes for an interesting relationship. Sometimes
It does.
working together with family, working together can be a little challenging because
It can
there's that
be.
layer of complication.
The complication is because you have to be better at everything than anyone else because she demanded that of you.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want to get fired by your own mom. That would.
She always made it clear that if you can't do what I assign you to do, I can always give you a broom.
Oh,
And I'll always give you a job, but if you can't do what I assign you to do, you can sweep the floors.
oh, wow. That doesn't sound like any fun.
With probably a reduction in pay.
What was the peak of distribution that she got, or some of the markers of success
I believe
in how wide it was?
It was 800,000 circulation at once.
Wow, that is a lot of printing.
It is.
Yeah, and you gotta at that rate you gotta have one of those big printers or hire some vendor who.
We did.
Yeah.
And the first press she bought was a very old Harris press, and it was used, and we set it up, and she needed a pressman. So by this time, my sister and brother-in-law were working at the company, and she came out into the sales room. She already knew her answer before she asked it, but she said, "Anyone here know how to take apart a car and put it back together again?" And my brother-in-law raised his hand. He said, "I do," because he could do that in a weekend. And so he became our new pressman.
There's some people like that. They're just good at that stuff.
Yeah.
I had friends that do that, and I'm like, you just get bored on a weekend, you take apart your car, and they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, maybe you should find some hobbies. But that's their hobby.
Yes, he enjoyed. Mike Sturman used to enjoy doing that, taking apart the car and putting it back together again before Monday.
Yeah. And what do you hope people come away with when they read your book? What do you hope they read about your mom and come away with?
When you want to do something, you don't let obstacles stand in your way. Just because of your gender or your plight in life, wherever you may be, whether you're rich or poor, it doesn't matter. If you have the stamina to stick through something, you should stick through it because you can be a success depending on how much you want to put effort into it.
Yeah. And it sounds like she had a lot of gumption. Wasn't going to take no for an answer. And she just force majeure made what she wanted to do her will.
She did. And with the circulation, she knew that she wanted it to be certified. So we went to a certified company, and we had to go through loops and hoops, but our circulation was verified circulation, as in a paid newspaper. And a free publication doesn't usually get a verified circulation. So we did. She made that happen.
That probably helps with getting advertisers on board and stuff like that.
It did. And if you wanted to buy a car, get a job, get an apartment, buy household furniture, you picked up a Greensheet or the major newspaper. So in Houston in the 70s and 80s, you picked up the Greensheet and the Post and Chronicle. And then, and the same thing, happened in Dallas, Fort Worth.
And you guys just became the biggest thing probably there in Texas when it came to that sort of market.
We did.
Wow.
We were.
So did she get a chance to read the book and see the final product?
No, she died in 2010. So I had to finish the book without her.
Oh, no.
So I had some help, and they said, get all your interviews with her on tape. So I did that. She got cancer, and she discovered it in October, and she said no more interviews.
Really?
And so we stopped interviewing about the book in October. But then at her funeral, our Reverend Morleach, he was the one that spearheaded getting this memoir done. He had been after her to get it done for decades. He was a very good friend, and Reverend Morleach, our minister from Bakerstown, Pennsylvania, was also on our board of directors. He goes, now why would you want a minister on your board of directors? She goes, well, you keep us all moral.
Oh, that's good. Being moral is good, I guess.
Yes. So a lot of times people in business become immoral.
That's true. There's a lot of people that,
want to go
power and money corrupts.
From the gray to the black.
Yeah. I think most people, I think that happens with politicians especially. Money and power ultimately corrupts. What a wonderful story about your mother and her journey. And we always love fighters. We love rebels. We love fighters. We love people that they go after their dreams. They chase their dreams, and they won't take no for an answer, and they find the resources. And I grew up that way as an entrepreneur, being poor, and there was a lot of sweat equity I had to do, and it got so bad. I remember at one time where I was within a year and a half, 2 years, we'd started 2 different companies. And I told my business partner, I said, I live in this office and I just go home to shower and change. And I would literally sleep on the couch. And I had to, my employees were salespeople, and I'd have to be like, look, if you're going to bring a customer in the morning, please let me know, because they're going to open the door and they're going to see the owner on the couch sleeping. And I actually talked at one time. I'm like, why don't we just set me up a dresser here in the office and put a shower in, and that way I never have to go home. Anyway, but that's the journey of being an entrepreneur. It's not always pretty. It's not, and people saw us years later, and we had the big 5,000 square foot office and the hundreds of employees. And they were like, oh, this is so great. It was so great you did this. And you're like, dude, do you know how much top ramen I had to eat for years? I don't think it was a year, but maybe the first year I ate a lot of fast food. And then one of the cars we pretty much lived in, because we were 24-hour delivery service, and just the gumption that you have. I remember we had to get licensed from our courier company with the state, and couriers were at that time this is before Bill Clinton signed the trucking deregulation bill somewhere in his term. And so we were required to get this special license from the state and Hella insurance and all these regulations we had to fulfill. And I remember we sent our stuff in, and it was just a modest proposal. We were driving our own cars. We couldn't afford like FedEx to go buy cars. And they wrote me back, and they said, no, your application is denied. This is the dumbest application we've ever seen submitted. You guys don't have any investment other than sweat equity. You guys are using your own cars. This is madness. And I still have that letter to this day. It's framed. And I had to go in and sit down with them and go, look, we're a couple young entrepreneurs. We're going to drive our own cars. We're going to sweat equity this baby, and we're going to have some gumption. And they said, the problem is your prospective revenue and operating is just too low. It's just too low. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, I don't want to lie. I'm not going to say we're going to make $10 million in the first 10 few years. And they're like, we actually need you to do that. I went in and sat down with the dude. I even read him his letter, and he was embarrassed. And so we negotiated a way to get that done and get our license. And the gumption, that's part of the sweat equity. That's part of the journey sometimes. And she was utilizing family and sweat equity. And it's when you're small and you're growing, you can't just hire employees.
No, she did one thing that was amazing, and I was surprised that anybody took her up on the deal. It was a couple years into the business, and people were placing the ads, and people were not paying her. She said, "Oh, we're going to stop this. We're going to demand payment in advance." This is early 70s. Nobody got services payment in advance, not even doctors, right?
Yeah.
Now they do. But
yeah, that's just the gumption.
And she said, "But I'm sorry." She had us all sit in a room, and she goes, "But I can't afford to pay any of you right now, and it might be a couple weeks.
Oh wow!
But I'm out of money, and I can't get it from a bank, so I'm asking you to work for free."
Wow!
And all but maybe two people said they could not work for free.
Yeah.
But everybody else worked for free.
Wow. And they probably really believed in her. They saw her gumption. They saw her work ethic.
If she believed in you, she would make people believe in themselves.
Huh.
She got them to, she goes, "If you listen to me and do exactly as I say, I will make you successful."
It's awesome. I need somebody like that in my life too.
And when I was writing the book, I asked her about her being an entrepreneur. She chuckled, and she did her little chuckle laugh. She was entrepreneur. That wasn't even a word when I started out.
Yeah. Same with me. When I started out, there was no one talking about being an entrepreneur. It was you work for somebody else. When I turned 18, and I just became an entrepreneur without even knowing I was becoming an entrepreneur. I got fired from McDonald's because I had long rocker hair. And the guy was religious, and he's like, "You listen to satanic bands like Van Halen." And I'm like, Van Halen's not really satanic, but whatever, dude. I had the long hair, and he was offended by that. So they ended up firing me. It's in my book. And I had learned to plaster foundations as a child with my dad in his stucco business. So I knew that trade because my mom would be like, "Get these kids out of my house for the summer," and we'd go learn. I went home to my dad, and he goes, I go, "Dad, I got fired at McDonald's." And he goes, "Well, you're not sitting around my house at 18. You're going to college here in another year." I had a Pell Grant lined up. And he goes, you need to get out and get a job because you're not sitting around my house." Very different than parents nowadays. Nowadays, they stay in the house till they're 75 or something. And so I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll have to find a job. And he goes, "You know how to plaster foundations? All my junk is in the back from when we used to do it. You'll have to go open an account at the construction place." Or I think he had an account at the construction place still. He's like, "You can go use my account and just go out there, and you know how to do the job. You just got to go sell it." And so, yeah, it was a lot of gumption for an 18-year-old to be out knocking on doors of these mean construction dudes. And back then, they weren't formal and nice and big corporate like they are now. No. Yeah, these are really rugged guys who were building one house at a time, and so yeah, just the gumption that it takes. And back then, I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I thought it was kind of cool. I was the CEO and my own boss, but I had to make it all work. And nowadays, there's a lot of more support for entrepreneurs. Everybody thinks they're a CEO or an entrepreneur at this point. But yeah, when back in those days, people weren't encouraging it. You should go start your own business. You're like, "Are you crazy?" No. So I love your mom. She seems to have a lot of gumption, and sounds like she had some great leadership skills, and she saw the vision of people and making her community better.
She just wanted to make her own money.
Yeah.
And be her own boss.
Yeah. And that's a good place to be.
That's all she wanted.
Yeah. That's all I want either half the time.
And she said, "And I know how to do it right."
And that's one of the challenges of being an entrepreneur. We don't work well for other people because a lot of times their ideas are dumb.
One thing I did learn from her is to be a good leader, you also need to be a good follower. Because if you cannot follow, you cannot lead.
That's a really great point. That's a really good point.
And because while you're learning, you have to follow.
Yeah, you got to learn before you can. You can't just be the master of something without being the apprentice.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there was another phrase that she told me when I moved to Dallas to run the Dallas-Fort Worth paper. She said, I was running into some difficulties, and she said, and I said, well, do you have any words of advice for me up here? She said, trust everyone and trust no one.
That's an interesting concept. Tell us the depth of that.
How can you do that? If I trust everyone and trust no one, she goes, first you need to get them to trust you. So you have to trust them for them to trust you. But you also have to have a doubt of mistrust, because inevitably they will do something that is not trustworthy.
You got to be aware. Some people are trustworthy, and then sometimes they change their mind and they don't think they want to be anymore. Or they think maybe there's an element of greed where they can maybe take something that.
Yes, I had one salesman who was working for 2 companies. He was working for me, and sitting at my desk, using our desk, our phone, our building, and he was also working for another company at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Getting 2 paychecks.
Wow. They did that during COVID. It was kind of interesting. There were people working for 3 different companies from home during COVID.
But they're using their phone in their home, not somebody else's phone.
But they shouldn't have been doing it. Their bosses wouldn't have liked it if they found out.
Yeah.
So you guys did really well. You became the thing in your local community. That's always cool. Like I remember years ago when I was in California, this would be decades ago when I was in California, and they had this thing come out called Craigslist. And I remember I think I moved to California or Vegas, and I needed to sell or buy some stuff. I needed some services or something. And they go, everyone uses, I was like, what do you guys use now? Everyone uses Craigslist. And I was like, Craigslist? What the hell is that? Who's this Craig guy?
And then Angie's List came out.
Oh, yeah, Angie's List, too. Yeah, that was real popular. I can't remember if we had her on.
That's when everything started going really digital.
Yeah.
And newspapers around the country were starting to flail.
Yeah.
Because advertisers were going to Angie's List. I don't know about Craigslist, but they were going digital. And it takes, to make up for the money you make on print, you have to sell 5 digital ads to 1 print ad. So you have to quadruple your sales to make the same amount of money.
Yeah. Lots of competition. I could have sworn we had somebody from one of those lists on the show. I guess it wasn't Angie's List. It doesn't come up in our search. But there's one of those other lists. I think it was a contracting list, or I don't remember. Anyway, as we round up the show, is there any future books maybe you write, like maybe to leadership tips and tricks of your mom, or is it all encompassed in the book?
It was, I believe I covered it all in the book. Even tidbits of wisdom I learned from my mother and my grandmother.
Oh.
Because there was a lot of wisdom passed down. I thought I might make that whole story into some kind of fictional novel.
Yeah.
Making it humorous about my mother, but I've thought about it and then I've discarded it. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. People still use the Greensheet there in Texas. There might be a lot of people in Texas that would be interested in that story, maybe? I don't know. Yes,
it's still digital, and you can still find it some places. And it's delivered to 7-Eleven, Stop and Go's.
Oh, yeah.
Major grocery store chains. And that's where it was delivered. And we would deliver maybe 10 bundles at one grocery store.
Oh, really? Do you ever do any of those deliveries where you take the newspapers, you sling the newspapers?
I did at one point when we had drivers not show up. I'd have to...
You have to fill in?
Yes, I had to fill in, and I had a 67 Firebird, and they stuffed all those bundles in my car, and I was in a dress, and I did not have air conditioning.
Oh, no. In that Texas heat.
Yes, it was torture.
Yeah.
And then you're filled with newsprint.
Oh, yeah, you get all over your hands.
All over your body.
Oh, yeah.
And so delivering newspapers is a really hard job.
Yeah, it is. I used to do it. I remember we would, and it was like the value paper or something like that. And we used to, my brother and I, we both had the jobs doing it. And I can't remember the name of the newspaper, but we would have to, they would give us the flat versions of the newspaper. And since we would have to hang it on doorknobs, we'd have to rubber band them and roll them up. Right?
Yes.
And then, of course, we'd put them in our big bicycle bags and they'd be filled with all these rolled up newspapers. Then we go do our route. But we'd spend like an hour or two at home watching TV and we'd help each other do our things. And yeah, our fingers would be black and we'd probably smudge our faces because it'd be black from all that ink. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. I don't know. All the lead from that ink soaked into my body over the years.
The blacker your hands get when you read a newspaper, it's the cheaper ink they're using.
Ah, I did not know that.
Yes, it's cheap ink.
Yeah, I still like reading a newspaper every now and then. I'll see one, I'll pick it up, and I miss them. I miss when they were huge too. Now they're even smaller. They're kind of like a midget size. But yeah, it used to be you get this big thing, and I used to grow up reading the comics. But I grew up slinging newspapers. My dad in L.A. in the late 60s had bought a route, and you could buy these things. They were worth money. Like a franchise. And it was the coin op newspaper things that would be on every corner. You put a quarter in or a dime or nickel and you'd open up. You literally could take it's on the trust format. You could literally take all the newspapers if you wanted. But people would take one out. And then my dad owned the route in downtown LA. And so I grew up, my earliest memories are riding in his big bus, a VW bus, and we'd have these giant stacks of newspapers bound up. And then it was a tough time during that recession and the gas prices for LA. And so there was a lot of homeless people, drunk people on the street. So he would usually pull up in the car, keep the car running. I'd leap out as a kid and sling the papers. So I would open up the box, pull the change, pull the old paper, put the new stuff in, close it, and then jump back in the car before the homeless people could get to me and some people are drinking a little too much. Yeah. But that was my job. And I grew up reading I love the comics. That was the whole thing I loved was Sunday comics.
Did you have to count the papers that you picked up?
Yeah, you'd have to track all that stuff. And
that's part of the verification process.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it was wild. And when I tell people that it was like a franchise area that you bought, people are like, what? Well, and you're like, no, that was a thing back then.
Anything that was money making.
Oh yeah,
you had to protect your territory.
Yeah, you had to get and they were protected territories, and it wasn't the LA Times, it was Los Angeles Herald, or it was some secondary paper. It wasn't the LA Times, but I think they shared the same printing lot. And so I always had fun going out to they'd have those big catering trucks that would come by and you get lunch off the catering truck. So that was always fun. Wonderful memories and of print and story here. Any forthcoming books that you want to promote or things that you're talking about, or any forthcoming events or speaking you might do on the book?
I'll speak on the book locally.
Okay.
But no more books.
You've got a lot of hours of your mom being recorded. Maybe you can make a documentary, a movie.
Oh, I don't know. They want me to pay to have a script done. So everything costs money.
Everything costs money, yeah. But that might be really big, at least in Texas. People love stories of entrepreneurs and people who endure and succeed. And
from the depression to multimillionaire. I
like that. There's your title. Yeah. And if enough people in Texas know that by the back of their hand, they'll show up and maybe dump some money in it. But it might make a great video sort of thing, and then play some of the tapes of your mom and stuff.
Oh, I did not get videotapes.
Oh, but you have some audio, right?
I just have audio.
Yeah, you can make that work in a documentary and stuff, and then just show her pictures. You probably have a lot of pictures of her. Maybe she was covered by the newspapers and stuff.
She would. I don't know if she would do it deliberate, but she loved to wear white pantsuits to work. And then she would go into the press room. If something was broken, she had to get her hands in there. She would go into the press room and say, "What's wrong in here? I can help fix it." She really believed that she was a help. But she was in her white suit in the press room. And she didn't have very many white suits after that.
That'll do it. Because I remember, anytime you picked up a newspaper, you'd always end up. I definitely read the newspaper today because half it's on my hands.
Yes.
It's been a delight to have you on. Rebecca, give people a final pitch out to pick up your book.
Enjoy a journey through the Pennsylvania to Texas through Helen Gordon.
Helen Gordon, wonderful story and a great homage to your mother. Well, thank you very much for coming by. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Rebecca, and it's been fun. I'm honored to have gotten to know your mom, and boy, she sure seems like she had a lot of gumption as an entrepreneur.
Oh, she could tell a story and make you laugh with stitches.
Oh, that's my kind of people right there. Thank you for coming on, Rebecca. Thanks so much for tuning in. Order up her book wherever fine books are sold. There's a link on the Chris Voss Show. Helen Gordon, the woman behind the Greensheet. And you can find that everywhere wherever fine books are sold. Thanks so much for tuning in. Refer to your family, friends, and relatives, or else don't make me pull the car over and come back there. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, and one on the TikTokity. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.